Hello, friends. And to those returning, welcome back to To Which Isle. And for those just joining us today, welcome. Today, we are going to talk about travel. I am your co host, Charmaigne. And today, Crystal couldn't make this episode. So, standing in is my longtime friend, Amy, with about 25 years of friendship here. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, 25 glorious years.
Glorious. Wow. I feel spiffy. All right, so we're gonna do a show on travel. Our podcast. I skipped a line, so I'm gonna add it in now. Our podcast is about spirituality and mental health and how the two work together. Today, the topic is travel, and we're going to talk about how important travel can be to your spirituality and your mental health. One of the things that I have found with travel personally is that it gets me out into larger groups of people, different cultures of people, and just different lifestyles. And when I find things in common with those people that maybe didn't necessarily start with me, I learn a lot more. And that's kind of why I like to travel. What are your thoughts on travel, Amy?
I really want to speak to this because it's really an important discussion. So I'm going to just give a little background on me. I think it's going to help people understand where I come from. So you were in the Air Force, so you got to travel quite a bit. And I come from a family that was in the Air Force. So I was traveling even before I knew what travel was. And I think let's explain what travel is, because I don't think people really understand. I think most people think that traveling is for rich people or people who have so much extra money, or travel is for people who don't have kids or responsibilities. You know, they look at travel in lots of different ways. And I want people to open up their mind right now and think about this. If you fish, probably the reason you fish is because when you were little, someone took you fishing and showed you how to fish and you enjoyed it. And then you start fishing. If you play tennis, probably your family had access to a tennis court. They played with you. You learned the game, and that's why you do it. But if you live in Arizona, maybe you don't swim that well because maybe that's not what you did. So all the things that surround you and the places that you go become part of you.
Yes.
And I think what happens with people is they think so differently. They make it into this huge thing that it's not. So you travel in your mind and in your deeds before your body goes there. So think about what you do when you travel. You look up the place. You look up what's interesting to you. If you're an introvert, maybe you want to go hiking. You don't want to be around people. If you're an extrovert, maybe you want to hang out in a party land. If you don't gamble, you're not looking for Vegas. You find what you like. And then all of a sudden, maybe 2 or 3 choices. Then maybe you buy a book about it. Maybe let's pretend it's Jamaica. You go, oh my God, I'm going to play some reggae music. So you're traveling in your mind. Or maybe you turn around and go, oh my God, I want some jerk chicken. I look up the recipe. Oh my gosh, I need a bathing suit. So now I'm shopping for a bathing suit and I'm picturing myself in the bathing suit on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm looking at pictures of beaches. So you totally travel and keep pathways open in your mind of pleasure.
Yep, absolutely. I believe that that is part of that pre-planning part of that travel. There's a lot of different ways to practice presence and mindfulness and being present in the moment. And when you're thinking about travel and you're preparing to travel, all of those, just like you said, buying the bathing suit, getting the tickets, listening to some music before I head out to this particular place where this music come from, or, looking up the different jungle tours because I'm going to Jamaica and I want to do the zip line. I'm already setting up the travel so that I know what I'm going to be expecting when I'm there and I know what I'm going to experience. And I think that's the part that you get from the spirituality aspect of it, is that it's you're giving yourself a visit to a different place. And then you get to come back to your place and see the differences between your place in life and this place that you got to visit. And that
Absolutely.
adds that richness to life. You've got to see more. And, we've had that life that started out with early travel. You did because your parents or your parent was in the military. I did. My parents just moved around. They weren't even in the military. I was the one in the military. And then I was in the military and I moved around. So, yeah, so many different experiences that I am so glad I have, even though, maybe not all of my military experience was grand, but that travel is something that I am so glad I got to experience, because it is something that I've carried on through life. Is I do like to travel to new places. I want new experiences because I don't get to take any of this. Like I've got a house full of zombie memorabilia that I don't get to take anywhere when I die.
Right.
But
Exactly.
every little piece of me, every little memory of me, if I believe what I believe spiritually, that's going to come with me. And that's what I want to build on, is those experiences.
So the part that you touched on that I think is amazing is the spirit. I think the spiritual aspect of travel, that a lot of people don't think travel is spiritual. But there's something, and I know a lot of people know this topic. It's called grounding. It's when literally your feet touches sand or dirt or grass or an earth element. We're all electrical beings, and it's called grounding because just like you would ground something if you were around electricity, you also ground yourself. And it's
Oh,
a very spiritual thing to do.
I love
And
that.
I notice that people do it without realizing it. They'll wear flip flops, and I'll see them at the beach. Everybody puts their feet in the sand. Everybody wants to go put their feet in the water, even if it's just to see what the temperature is. Put their feet in the pool. Put their feet on the fluffy grass in springtime,
Mhm.
Or think about the guys that, Baja, and they're in all the dirt. Like, it really is grounding. It really has a lot of spiritual aspects to it that no one ever thinks about. They never think about it. But I will say this, and I think you can attest to this as a spiritual being. Where you seek is which is calling your body. So
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, like just with food, like when you're craving chips, you want salt. Craving sugar, you're craving this, you're craving, something ginger, that ginger ale or ginger beer, you might have a little upset tummy. You're not even aware that's all. What you crave in travel is calling your soul to do. So if you're craving sunshine, your body needs that B12. Your body needs that liquid gold of happiness. It's like, let's get some joy in your life. If
I
you're
ab
auditory, you know this because you are. If you're auditory and you're craving a concert, that vibe, your vibe. You want to dance. You want to release that energy. You want to let it go. You are full of whatever, angst, anger, whatever, and you want it out. You want it, something that's going to get it out. And then think about it. Vegas is for excitement. Luck, you're feeling a little down. You're like, oh, I'm trying to get lucky. And if you're like hiking or craving the mountains, or you're craving the adventures that are solitude, your soul wants to rest. It
Mhm.
wants to rest at the beach. The things that you crave is what's calling out for your soul to do. So you have to start thinking of it. So I have to ask you, what's your favorite kind of vacation?
Oh, golly, that's hard because I have so many lovely things that I like to do. I like the excitement of a convention floor where I have importance and I'm helping and I'm making magic happen. But I also really enjoy, say, like you can attest to this. You remember when we went on that kayak trip in
Yeah.
June
Yes.
out to Pennsylvania, and I walked out to the wait, I don't even remember what I was doing. I think I was walking and just staring, and you were like, "What are you doing?" And I was
Right.
telling you, I don't know. The trees, something's talking to me right now, and I don't
The
know what it is.
mountains. The
And it was the
mountains.
mountain. I felt that once I got down to the river, put my feet in the river, and then I could tell exactly where that energy was coming from that I was
Yeah.
feeling. And it's a different type of element. I kind of just enjoy it all. I don't know if I have a favorite. I guess if my favorite, it's probably a beach. You know me, I love the beach.
Yeah. And it's strange that you say the mountain, but think about what a mountain represents. A mountain is stability, it's safeness. Water, fire, nothing. I mean, think about it. You can scorch it, but it's still there. When you're
Mhm,
done, that rock or that mound of earth is still there. So
mhm.
it's just a really stable vibration. And
Yep.
if you have kind of a more uh I don't know use the word like if your vibrations are working overtime and churning,
Mhm.
like that mountain is just like hugging you, giving you that thing, and it might be exactly what you need.
Right,
So,
and there's a lot of times that I've been in nature where I've found that peace that I was looking for. As a kid, I would escape into nature a lot because we lived sometimes in places that just weren't city areas. They were either rural, I can't say the word. It's an R
rural.
word in my R, don't come out. Rural. To me, it sounds like it's coming out of my mouth funny.
Right.
But, I've always lived in the country or in well, the country, just the mountainside of the country. And so those elements have always been very comforting to me because as a kid, that's where I would escape. I would escape out to the orchards or, I'd just go and sit somewhere in the grass. And that's exactly what I was doing and did not know I was doing it was I was grounding. And I
Right.
love that you said that we're electrical beings because that's what our brains are made up of is electrical impulses. So when we die, that's what leaves our body. So
Absolutely.
if our electricity is in our body and we're alive and we put our bare feet into that ground, that is exactly what we're doing is we're taking our electric charge and grounding it so it isn't so intense.
Absolutely. And that's why they call it life force. That's why they say, oh, I don't have any energy. That's what,
Yeah.
like the whole, even the words are electrical words that we use for beings.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that was a shock to my system. There's so many words that you can use that it really tells you what we do. But I want to say this for people, and because we're talking grand here,
Mhm.
I think most people don't realize what giving yourself permission to have a day or 2 day does for you. One
Mhm.
or 2 days can be life changing, you know, and especially, and people say it all the time. If you have a dull knife and you're hacking on a piece of meat or cheese, it's kind of gonna be like not work out for you. Like you're really hacking, you're not cutting.
Mhm.
And everybody gets it. Your knife is dull, sharpen it. But nobody thinks like, you know, I really need a real break. I think we allow ourselves sometimes 5 minutes or 1 hour. But even planning and a staycation somewhere, because I want to speak to the people who never really go anywhere. If you really need your stuff, take your stuff. Just take what you need in your car.
Right.
Take what
Right.
you need. There's something called a dark park, and you can go there and you can literally blow up a blow up mattress and look at the stars, and all your stuff, all your crap, as George Carlin would say, is right there and you're staring at it. You can still be safe with it. Nobody's touching it. Like whatever you need to take. So I feel like moms, they feel so guilty because they're so needed, and they don't realize their kids, even though they would miss them, when they came back and they were so much more patient and they were so much more present and they were so much more happier because they got a breath, just a breath.
Yeah.
And to do that. What do you think?
Being coming as a parent, and while my children were growing up, our one trip a year was our canoe trip.
Right.
And it was once a year. That's when the kids stayed with grandma for the whole weekend. And we went 3 hours away to go canoeing for a Saturday, which was only supposed to be 3 hours, but always turned into 6 because couldn't make it down the river to save our lives. We got to hurry up before DNR.
That's true. That's so true.
Good memories. So we have a long history. But, that's what it was. It was, being a mom, it is so easy to suddenly find yourself pouring from an empty cup. You just don't have anything left to give, but you're still expected to give. So you do your best, even though, it's subpar now because your cup is empty. That canoe trip every year, it may have only been one trip, even though I wanted to plan multiple vacations. We only ever got one. And, we would make it, and it would be the difference for me personally. I don't know about my ex-husband or how he managed or fared, but for me personally, it was something where I was able to be with adults for a bit, lay back, relax, have some drinks, not have to worry about driving or making sure kids are in the right spot or in bed when they're supposed to be. And that way, when I came back, I had a cup that I could pour from again because it was full. I had a recharge moment. And we do, as humans, we tend to find our worth in what we're able to do, what we are able to manage, what we are able to put on our shoulders and carry around for everybody else. But that hurts. It hurts in the long run. And we have to be able to take care of ourselves and allow us those moments. And I'll tell you the difference that 5 minutes every morning makes for me. I get up in the morning, I say my mantras at my altar, I light a candle, and I just take a few minutes to breathe. I may not use a guided meditation. I might just breathe myself and talk my mantra out. And that has improved my life so much more than all of the other things that I had tried to implement to make my life a little better. It always came back to spending the time to put breath into my body and purposely doing this, because half-ass doing it, if you're not doing it with purpose, it's not going to mean anything. It has to mean something. So you have to put purpose into it.
And now I want to talk about something that's really important to me. I think this is the sabotage thing that people do. So I want to talk about it. First of all, you can't vacation with everybody. Nope. Vacationing with the wrong people will not put anything in your cup. It will take from your cup.
Oh my gosh.
So the first rule is, if you're going to do this vacation, a real thing for yourself, recognize that if you and your, let's just say, brother-in-law, mother-in-law, cousin don't get along, don't go on vacation with them. See them on the holidays, be cordial, be nice, but don't invite them into sacred spaces that you need to recharge in. The second thing, and I challenge them to do this. When you go on vacation, I get it. If you like golfing, golf. But challenge yourself to do one thing that you wouldn't normally do. Just one thing. Because as someone who's vacation extensively, and I mean 7 times a year.
Girl goes on trips, man. And and I'll say one of them is always to my house, which I don't know how I got so lucky.
for 30 years. So, but if one, like I'm just saying, so make sure you try something different. It doesn't have to be 5,000% out of your comfort range. Try it 5% out of your comfort range. You know, you're used to golfing. So this time, maybe you go bird sightseeing. I don't know. But whatever it is, try just a little something. The strangest things happen when you go a little bit off your beaten path for your soul. It really does. I think the funniest things happen. But I want you to truly speak to the fact that spiritually and in your heart, you know who you can vacation with. And you're not supposed to be in stress and uptight and competing for outfits. This is supposed to be where you take care of you.
Right.
So what would you say to people who kind of want to, go on vacation and they know they don't like their husband's buddy and they know they're gonna like
right
to fuss because he's pulling them out for 16 extra drinks or something? Like, what would you tell them?
I don't even know it is exactly like you said. Do not go on vacation. Do not spend your quality recharging time with people that make you feel anxious already just thinking about going on this vacation with them. If there is anxiety driven in it and you don't feel safe enough to talk to the person you're going to go on vacation with and say, hey, you know what? I feel like I want to talk about this to make sure our vacation goes okay. And they're going to blow up at you. So you can't do that. That right there is a sign you probably should not go on vacation with that person. Also, I want to go on to the other self-sabotage things as well, because that is one of them, going with people that you already kind of butt heads with. Like maybe vacations are hard for you. Maybe the steps in planning are hard themselves. For me, I struggled with the travel portion of vacations. I loved going to convention weekends and working conventions. Even though it was working, it was still a vacation to me because it was fun. However, the getting there, the getting to the plane, getting the Uber, the Lyft, the whatever, the food in the middle, eating and making sure I'm taking care of myself and hydrating myself, all of the logistics were what made my travel miserable. And I literally had to learn how to embrace the fact that, you know what, I don't like flying places, but I do like travel. And sometimes travel requires that flight. So I learned to love the parts that I hated about traveling by looking at them different. Instead of looking at what a pain the airport was going to have to be, like I've got to go through TSA. Oh my God, the stress of unpacking my bag and the line and taking shoes off and getting everything on the belt and then finding the gate and all of the stress of all of that, because it would go into my mind and I was always fearful of something happening, no matter what that something, whether it was being pulled to the side, extra security, or forgetting an ID, or, there were so many bad things that could happen during travel that I had to learn to, instead of looking at all of that, going, you know what? I'm leaving for the airport early. So if anything happens in that TSA line, I'm going to be through and no problem. Even if it takes for a long time, I will be through by the time my plane is at the gate. I put in place little actions that will make my travel a little easier. I pack snacks in my bag and only buy my drinks in the airport. That way I'm not spending a bunch of money either, or stressing out about finding a place to buy snacks for the airplane, or spending all of the money in the airport to buy snacks for the airplane. It was putting little things in place and then just telling myself I had to be patient. Like, I know I have to sit in the airport and I'm going to wait. So my problem was I was very uncomfortable people watching, because people watching, I always felt like if I was watching, they were watching too. And I was staring, they were staring. It was weird and uncomfortable and I don't want to be looking. And I used to avert my eyes from people all the time when I was out and about. Now I can people watch, but it was a process of telling myself it's okay to sit back and watch people walk around and freak out about their stuff. And you can actually see people's anxiety as they're walking back and forth in the airport. If they've got kids and they're toting them and they're stressed out, you can tell. And if you can slow yourself down enough to see that other people are going through their own thing, they're not even paying any damn attention to you. You're going through your own shit. Everybody else
Yes.
has a different perspective on that same thing. And I also like to tell myself, like when I'm sitting in the airport, I'm sitting here with this perspective. That person's over there sitting with their perspective. There's 1,000 perspectives in this airport. If they glanced at me, there's 1,000 different perspectives of me in this airport. And I don't know what they are. But it's not my job to know what they are. My job is to know who I am. And who I am is this calm human being, grounded in the airport, being able to watch people freak out and not freak out herself or not let anybody else's energy bump into me and then make me feel away. Like Miss Stressed Out Karen over there who's arguing at the counter, and that kind of freaks me out because I don't like confrontation. Well, I have to be able to bubble myself off to where that doesn't affect me. She can yell at that lady all she wants and throw stuff around and have a fit because she's not getting her way, but it's not going to affect my day and my travel because she wants to have her little tantrum. She can do that. I'm going to have a nice, easy, peaceful trip right here. And I'm just going to sit. Maybe I'll move to the bar and have a Jack and Coke, whatever it is. Maybe that's why I'm so chill at the airport, actually.
That's funny. I want to also talk about building a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about how if you met somebody and they told you they were Catholic, and you met somebody and they told you they were Buddhist, and you met somebody and they told you they were Baptist, you wouldn't be like, ew, whatever. It's like people believe different things, and people have different things and require different things. And I want to tell people when they build their vacation, don't build your vacation because the internet says that you have to go and have like fish and chips because you're in England. Build your vacation because these are the things that are important to you. For example, I have someone who's 6'4". So I know right off the bat, if I want to start my vacation well, I need a bigger seat with more leg room. Or this person's going to be in a very grumpy mood, and I'm going to spend hours of my vacation trying to get them out of this grumpy mood. But he doesn't care about food that much. I'm the foodie. He can, like any hamburger will do. So or pizza or whatever. So I kind of cut my corners where we might have one nice meal, and for the rest of the time, I care less. It could be a bar burger, it could be Subway, it could be a piece of pizza on the beach. He could care less.
Right.
So the important thing is both of us getting to the beach because we both like that. So I arrange my money where I'm going to get the most comfort for it. I'm not starting out like, oh my God, I got to have the best seats. And then, oh, I have to have the best hotel. Oh, I have to have this. And I'm not the other way either. Like, okay, I need the cheapest hotel, the cheapest car, the cheapest. No, I am definitely like, let's spend money that'll give me the most pleasure. You know, let's think of this like sex. We want some foreplay in there. Okay, when we're starting out, we want it to be like this. I might go to the Delta Lounge because, you know, I do like a nice bathroom. And I do like a nice mimosa. That's me. And if I'm going to spend $15 anyway for it, I might as well, you know,
right,
and pay that, you know, the $29.99 or whatever, and have unlimited. But, and we do need the big seat. But again, when we get there, I don't care as long as the car works. If I have to rent a car, I'm not trying to rent, you know, a Lamborghini. I don't care. It could be a Focus that just runs. I don't care getting from place to place. I want the hotel to be clean And I don't necessarily need a chain hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to be worried that the hotel is in an area where, like, if I forget the chain on the door, like, I'm like waking up in my sleep, like, did I remember to put the chain on the door?
Right.
So I think it's like putting it where you need it. And I feel like us as beings are like that too. Like sometimes we need that 5 minutes before we go into work to like sit in our car and like woosah. Sometimes we need a mental health day. Sometimes we need that lunch that is like a little bit more expensive. And sometimes, fine, I'll eat these chips at my desk.
Right.
You know, you have to learn what works for you. And you translate that into your vacations and you translate that into your spirituality. Unfortunately, even though I don't practice, I was born Catholic. And the chances of me speaking in tongues are probably very low. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but if I could figure out how to do it, I probably still wouldn't do it. I'm just, you got to know what your thing is. Mm-hmm. And that's how you nourish your soul. That's how you get nutrients for your soul. Pick things that release the thing that you need. If it's dopamine you need, it's a different thing you're asking for, you know?
Yep.
Some people.
Yeah, maybe what you're needing is a very big dopamine rush, which means you need to go to a theme park and not go kayaking out at the mountain. But maybe what your soul is craving is a little break, some extra sleep, or just some peace. And then that's when you're craving the natural outdoors and maybe a more grounding moment, not so much adrenaline rush. But yes, and there are tons of different reasons that we do travel. We travel for family reunions, for family celebrations, holidays. There's travel to other countries to visit other cultures. There's people who just love to travel to beaches. There's people who love cruises. There's people who love to just go straight out to a resort and just chill there. There's so many different reasons that we go to different places. What we want to challenge you to do is to find what does spark you, find what gives your soul peace or gives your soul that dopamine that you need, and then find that and try to plan something. Try to go ahead and get yourself out there at least once a year, if not more often. I'm finally getting out a lot more often. I like conventions, so I work a handful of them. We did our beach event, which worked out beautifully, which I plan on doing again next year. So, there's another thing I'll be planning, but I do have set things coming up that I know I'm going to go and travel. And that's what keeps me looking forward. There's always something coming up that I'm traveling to. My next travel is probably to Peachtree City for the camp in Sonora, or in Peachtree. It's in Peachtree. And I'll be working that event, but I'll be working with friends. So it'll be just another vacation for me. So, it's get yourself out there, get yourself meeting new people and getting into new circles and finding out how similar we all are, even though we are different. Anything else to add, Amy? Oh no, did you freeze? Or did I freeze? So, like I said, we challenge you to travel more. And as always, take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't serve you behind. You can find us on www.towhichisle.com. You can reach me there at my email address at charmaine@towhichisle.com. We are also on Facebook and all the places that Buzzsprout puts podcasts. We look forward to seeing you next time. Light and love.